Hello students, welcome to Distinction Learning Platform, and on this platform you find revisions, tests, quizzes, a lot of stuff. So before we begin our lessons, make sure that you subscribe so that you can be updated with all upcoming videos. To make the story short, let us begin. So in this video, we are talking about magnitude of a line. This is under mathematics. Remember that magnitude of a line is under what we call coordinate geometry. Coordinate geometry talks about what? How many things? Three main things, which is what? The midpoint that we talked about from the in the previous video, and there is what we call magnitude of a line and the equation of the line. Equation of the line, we are going to talk about it in the next lesson. So what is magnitude of the line? So magnitude of a line, basically we're talking about the what? The size of the line. So that's the other term that they can use, size of the line. So magnitude of the line. Now, how can you find magnitude of the line? So we've got two important formulas that you need to be using when it comes to what? Magnitude of the line under coordinate geometry. So what are we saying? So there are formulas that you need to what? To be using. Okay? Two important formulas. What is the first one? The first one is we're going to say magnitude. Let's imagine to say these are what we call magnitude. So if I put those straight or vertical lines, those are what we call magnitude of what? Line AB. Let's just imagine to say that is line AB. So magnitude of line AB, what will be the formula? So I'm going to say the square root of what? This is the first formula, x squared plus what? Y squared. So this is the first formula that you need to understand. What is the second formula? So the second formula is this one, AB. Okay, AB equals to what? The root of. So the second formula is where you're going to what? Expand this x. So this x you can represent it as what? X2 minus what? X1. Then this is the same x as what? Squared followed by what? Plus. Then also expand what? Y, which is y2 minus y1. Okay, then squared like that. Okay, so these are the two important formulas that you need to understand when it comes to what? The magnitude of a line. Okay, so now what are the questions that can come under magnitude of the line? So we'll just pick what? One question. We'll start with the first question, which is simpler, where we're going to use this first formula. Okay, what is that question that they can give you? Okay, let's put example 1. Okay, example 1. So we are saying to say, if line AB has this coordinate as coordinates, let's just say 3, 4. Okay, they say this line has this coordinate, then they ask you to find what? Find the magnitude or size of the line. Magnitude, or maybe they can ask you size of this line. Okay, size of this what? Line. Size of what? Line AB. Okay, line of what? Or size of line AB. That could be a question that they can ask you. Now the question that you can ask is that which formula are we going to use between the first formula and the second formula? What are the things or what are the signs that are going to tell you that, okay, I'm going to use the first formula? What are those? So remember that here, how many coordinates have we been given? So we've been given what? One coordinate. Okay, so this is one coordinate. Basically, if it is one coordinate, there is just one x and one y. This one qualifies to be what? To be used to find the size of the line. Remember, as usual, how are you going to know that? Okay, this is the formula that I'm going to use, because in mathematics, when it comes to mathematics, there are a lot of formulas that you are going to be using. So, but basically, for you to know that, okay, this is the formula that I'm going to be using, the question has stated to say find magnitude or size of this line. The size of the line has got two formulas, this one and this one. But the reason why we are using the first one is what? Because there's what? One coordinate. So we're going to use this one. Okay, if line AB, so line AB, the magnitude of what? Line AB equals to what? We're going to use the first formula, x squared plus what? y squared. Okay, then what are the coordinates we have? We have 3, 4. 3, 4. These are the coordinates as usual. Remember that the first number is what? X, and the second number is what? Y, as usual. Then you start replacing. Okay, AB equals to the root of, on x, what is the value of x? It is 3. Okay, then 3 what? Squared, plus on y, what is the value of y? It is what? 4. Then what? Squared again. Then you continue to say, okay, the magnitude of what? Line AB equals to what? Okay, you're going to say the 3 squared, so you're going to say the root of what? 3 squared is what? 9. Plus 4 squared is what? Is 4 times 4 is what? 16. Okay, as you can see, go step by step like that. Then the root of the magnitude of AB equals to what? 9 plus 16 is what? 25. You know, what is the square root of 25? What is the square root of 25? We know the square root of 25 is what? 5. So the final answer that we are going to have here is 5. Then that is the magnitude of line AB. Now this 5, what are you going to put? Magnitude is the size, it's the length of any line or size of anything. So here, since we're talking about the size of the line, we're talking about the distance of that line. So remember that distance is measured in what? Centimeters, meters, kilometers, miles, a lot of what? Units. Now here, since we were not given any unit here like centimeter, meters, what are you going to put here? We are going to put what? Units. So you put here units as the final answer. So as the final units like that, you say units. If we are finding not the magnitude, but we are finding the area, you are going to find, you are going to put what? Units squared. If we are finding volume, what are you going to put at the end of the answer? You're going to put what is centimeter to the power 3 when it comes to volume. Okay. So those are the important concepts that you need to understand. So this is the simplest question. Okay. Now let's go to question what? Question 2. So let's write question 2 here. Okay. Now what if, let's try to utilize this one. Okay. Let us try to utilize this one. Now, what are the questions that can come when we want to use this one? So they are going to say again the same thing. Let's say if line PQ has the coordinates, okay, let's say P, we're going to be given its own coordinate. Okay, let's say 1, -2. Okay, and Q, maybe let's say Q, let's say, okay, let's say, okay, 2, what, anything, let's just put maybe a -4, like that. Okay, then they ask you to find what? Find the magnitude of line PQ, like that. So that is the second question that you can be asked. Okay, so there is also an important concept that we need to what? To take note of. Okay, so let us try to answer this one. So if line PQ has the coordinate PQ and that one, okay, P and Q, then they are asking you to find the magnitude of what? Line PQ. What can you say? So remember that go to the question. What is the question saying? The question is saying what? Find the magnitude. What's the formula of magnitude? You come here. Okay, magnitude of what? Now here we are using PQ, not AB. So I'm going to put here inside here. I'm going to put what? PQ equals to what? Okay, equals to. Now ask yourself, how many coordinates have you been given? This is the first coordinate, and this is the second what? Coordinate. So there are many? 2. If there are 2 coordinates, which formula are you going to use? Is this one, the expanded one. Okay, use this one, which is the expanded one. So what are you going to do? So I'm going to say, okay, since I've been given 2 coordinates, I'm going to say, okay, x2 minus x1, okay, plus, then you say y2 minus what? Y1. Okay, others maybe they are thinking, what if I start with x1 here? If you start with x1, then it will be x1 minus x2. Here, you are also going to start with y1 minus y2. Still, you are going to get the what? The same answer. If you change, also change from the other side. If you change from this side, you start with x1. Also here, start with what? Y1. Okay, it's fine. Then you go. You take the data here. The data, the P, What do we have for P? 1, comma what? Negative 2. Then Q, what do we have? 2, comma what? Negative 4. Okay? Then you start what? Replacing. You start replacing here. You come here. Okay? You come here. Then you say on x2. So let's try to name. So this is what? Remember that this is what? X and this is y. The first number is x and the second number is what? Y. Also here, this is x and this is what? Y. So now you start naming. If you decide these P coordinates are going to be what? The first coordinate you are going to say, this one will be 1, 1. Then this one will be what? 2, 2. Okay? Like that. If you name like that, then what are you supposed to do now? Start replacing. While there is x2, you come here. x2 is what? 2. You put while there is x2, 2. Okay? Then followed by what? Minus there. You go to x1. x1 is what? This one, which is 1, 1. Okay? You close brackets. Close bracket. Then what else? There's a what? A square here. Okay, we forgot a square here. You put a square. You put what? A square like that. Okay? So this square, okay, then followed by what? The addition what? Sign like that. Okay? Then open brackets. Inside you go to what? Y2. So why is Y2? Come here. Y2 has what? Negative what? 4. Okay? Y2 has negative 4. Followed by what? Followed by what? Minus. Okay? Minus, then minus what? Y1. What is the value of Y1? It is this one. So this is what? Y1. Okay? So Y1 is what? Then you respect it. Y1 is the negative 2. You respect it as what? Negative what? 2 like that. Remember that this has to be have what? A square like that. Because from the formula it has to have what? A square. Okay? Then after that, what are you going to do now? If you look at such a question like this, what are you going to do? You're going to start what? First work out with what is inside the bracket and a square at the last. Okay? Or at last. So what are you going to do? You're going to say 2 minus 1. What are you going to have? It is 1. Then squared plus. Okay? Then what do you have here? Again, you say you've seen this negative 2, the one that we got here. So we're going to say negative 2 times the negative. We are going to have positive. So we're going to have 4 positive what? 2. What do you think is the answer? Negative 2 plus 2. What do you think is the answer? The answer is what? Negative 2. Okay? Here you put negative 2 what? Squared. Like that. Then what are we finding? We are finding the magnitude of what? PQ like that. Then you proceed. You proceed. So now you proceed to what? Then you simplify this one. What would be what? What would be 1 squared is what? 1. Plus, what is negative 2 to the power 2? It is positive what? Basically, it will be just positive what? 4. Because negative 2 times negative 2, it will give us a positive 4. Okay, positive 4 times positive, it is just positive 4. Okay, so I want to show you something here. Okay, so if you look at 1 plus 4, what is 1 plus 4? We know that is what? 5. That is what? 5. Then ask yourself, is there the square root of 5? So others they are thinking that is a wrong answer. Unless I have the perfect square, like the square root of 9 so that I can have 3, the square root of 16 so that I can have 4, the square root of 25 so that I can have 5. This is the wrong answer. No. As long as what we've done is correct, basically if you have the square root of 5, you know that okay, 5 is not a perfect square. So what are you going to do? Just leave your answer like that. If you leave your answer, what are you supposed to put now? You need to put what? Units at last. Okay? You need to put what? Units. So 5, the square root of 5, that will be what? The magnitude of PQ, which is what? You put units here. Okay? Then that will be your final answer. Okay? There's now another final question that I can put now. Another final question that I can put. Another final question. Okay, the last one. What is the last question? Question 3. Okay. The last question is this one now. What if they give you something like this? They give you already the magnitude of the line. What if they say, if let's use blue. If the magnitude of line AB is 5. Okay, 5 is 5, and you say, and the the coordinate of AB and AB coordinates are, then you say they give you, okay, x comma what, then they say 4, okay, then they ask you to find the value of x, then they ask you find the value of x. They ask you to find the value of x. What can you do? What can you do on that? Okay. Now this is my simple like a difficult question, but it's as simple. As long as we've been given something, you need to to answer it correctly. So now, what have we been given? So remember again, go to the question. The question is talking about what? It is talking about what? The magnitude, okay? So remember magnitude. Now, again, before you pick the correct formula, ask yourself, how many coordinates have ever been given? I've been given just what? One coordinate. If it's just one coordinate, I'll go to the what? I'll rush the first formula that you remember, where there's just one x and one y. If there were two coordinates here, it could have been used what? The second what? Formula, where there were x2 and x1, while there were also y1 and what? y2. So here we're going to use what? Which one? This one. So what are we saying? We are talking about the magnitude of what? AB. So we're going to say magnitude of what? AB equals to what? The root of what? So we're going to just say x squared plus what? Y squared. That's so we're going to use this one. The reason why we are using just this one, because there's just one coordinate that we've been given. Okay. So now they are saying magnitude. So the magnitude of line AB we've been given, which is what? 5. So on magnitude, so this is the magnitude. On magnitude, what's the value? The magnitude, we have the value, which is what? 5 equals to root. So you just write it like that. Root of what? X squared, okay, plus. Then do we have the value of y? Yes, because x is the one that we are looking for, but we have the value of what? Y. What is the value of y? 4. Then 4, it has to have what? A square there, because this is y squared. Okay? Now, if you look at this one now, it becomes what? Simple. Then what are you going to do? Since you are looking for x, you need to destroy this square root, okay? Because you are looking for something which is inside, which is x. So what are you going to do? You need to destroy the square root. How do you destroy the square root? By putting what? The square both sides. So you're going to put what? Introduce the square both sides. So here, you're going to introduce the square as well as which one? This side, the square. Why? Because we need to destroy this one. Everything that you do from one side, you need to do also from the other side. Why? Because of the equal sign. Equal sign means whatever you do from this side, also do it from the other side. So what's going to happen? This square and the square root, they are going to cancel. Here we are going to say 5 squared, which will give us what? 25. To give us what? 25 equals to. Okay? Then this one has been cancelled like that. What are you going to remain? If you cancel the square root, you are going to remain with what? X squared plus what? 4 squared. As you can see now, this becomes simple. What do you think? This is 4 squared. Okay, we're going to simplify that one. This is 25 equals to what? X squared plus what? 4 squared is what? 16. Okay. Then what are you going to do on this step? Then we're going to say 16 will go to the other side. Okay, because this is a number and this is a number. So 16 will follow what? 25. So we're going to say 25 is going to receive what? 16. And this 16 is what? Positive. It will be what here? Negative what? 16 equals to what? Then x squared, because x squared will remain this side. Then what are you going to do? Say 25 minus 16. What are you going to have? We are going to have what? 9 equals to what? X squared. Then now this one becomes simple. We are looking for the value of x, not x squared. So what are you going to do on the at that point? You are going to introduce what? The square root, because now here we need to destroy the what? The square. So what are you going to do? Introduce the what? The square root. So introduce the square root here. Remember, because of the equal sign, whatever you do from this side, also do it through from the other side. Introduce the what? The square root. Then what would be the answer? The value here would be what? The square root of 9 is what? The square root of 9 is 3. But if you talk about paper 1 questions, if you introduce the square root, basically what are you going to have? You are going to have what? Positive or negative. So here, what you are going to have is what? Positive 3 or negative what 3, because if you introduce now a square root to a number, basically you are telling yourself to say the two there I'm going to have positive answer and the negative answer. Okay, but since we're talking about what we're talking about coordinates here, okay, so we're talking about the coordinates. Basically what we need to just notice is that the correct answer will be just what the positive number. So what we're going to say is that therefore, though it's giving me three a positive and a negative answer, so but basically I'm just going to conclude to say, okay, definitely I'll just choose a positive answer, which we're going to prefer. Okay, so but basically I'm going to have two answers there. But here under coordinate geometry, if you introduce the square root, basically you rush to the positive answer. That will be your final answer. So that's where we end from. Okay, now in the next video we'll talk about we'll talk about the equation of a line. Stay tuned and make sure that you study well. All the best.